Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in, because in this video I wanted to take a close look at the ANEO Air 1S. So this is the latest edition from the ANEO lineup, and this is also a very compact model, but what makes this thing very interesting is the chipset they're using in this. I'm just going to be honest, very carefully, I'm going to be a little bit of a fan when it comes to the AMD Ryzen at this moment, especially with the AMD Ryzen 7000 series. This is even the AMD Ryzen 7. Is the Aurora White version, 32GB of RAM, 1TB of storage in Windows 11 Home. Nevertheless, this thing is absolutely a beast in my opinion when it comes to the specifications. So the first thing I just wanted to do with you guys is just to check out what you're going to get inside the package. The real gamers, no gamers. Okay, whatever. So first of all, so when it comes to the presentation of ANEO, I always love it because we do get a lot of paperwork explaining stuff, and even including some warnings. But there was another thing I've noticed. So here you can see this piece of paper explaining you when the DPD settings exceeds 80 watts due to the limit of space inside the device, the screen may become very warm. So it's great that they're giving you an extra tip for this. So you need to put it on full speed to get better performance cooling. That is a little bit of the bummer when it comes to the particular devices, and I mean in particular this device. I have seen it before, I've reviewed it before with a different chipset on the inside, but what I like about these things is that it comes in a very nice overall design. Yeah, the ANEO design with the bumps at the back, it makes it extra comfortable, and that is what I really like about it. But let's talk about it later. Let's do a quick overview of all the other parts. But before that, let's smell it. Oh yeah, I love it, the smell of new hardware. But in here we're going to get ourselves the power supply and all the needed accessories. So here we're going to get ourselves the power supply itself. I think this is the European version. This is the cable in here. We're also going to get ourselves the Type-C to USB 3.0. Oh boy, how do I get this thing out? I have no idea. But here's my adapter, but I ain't going to need. Yeah. So when it comes to these power supplies, they're slightly smaller and different than the big brother ones. And I mean the particular one, this version from ANEO, I also have from the other devices. Here you can see the differences. This has multiple ports that we can charge. And with the smaller versions, we're going to get a compact design. And also, we're going to get only one connection. Not a big of a deal, but this is of course also a quick charger. So these things will give, you just need to give this thing a couple of hours to charge your ANEO device. But let's talk about the device itself. So first of all, when it comes to the comfortability, I already mentioned very quickly when doing the unboxing that this thing is very comfortable. It's a very compact design, and that is what I really appreciate with this particular model. I must say that when having a different kind of device like the Steam Deck, this is one of the devices I rather pick, simply because it's so compact. The D-pad feels very nice, and I must say that the tension with the joysticks is slightly different when you're looking at different devices I've reviewed. We do have the tiny buttons over here, like with the Nintendo Switch, but they're not that bad in my opinion. I really hate the Switch tiny buttons, by the way. And then we're going to get the navigation buttons at the left and the right side. At the top we're going to get a Type-C volume control, and here we can turn it on and off. Turning it on, you will see we're going to get a light up underneath the joystick, speaker at the bottom, and then we're going to get ourselves another Type-C connection and the headphone jack out. And here we're going to implement the microSD card for extending the internal storage, or getting some more storage, and we're going to need it because some of the games are absolutely crazy huge. So let's peel this thing off and let's take a close look at the device, which we can all able to play with this. But something I really want to highlight is the left part of the system, due of the joystick and the analog stick. But something I really want to highlight is the left part of the system, due of the joystick and the analog stick. So for the first part, I just wanted to check out how it actually plays when it comes to the analog stick. I already mentioned before that the stick has a very short travel, and the spring itself, it's got a very nice, like I say, tight spring in the inside. I really need to get used to it, simply because it is very sensitive. But the overall performance, I can tell you, is that I was not disappointed. When playing some Crash for some time, I do notice that it plays actually pretty damn good. The D-pad, yeah, it's going to be a mixed feeling. It feels really strange and really, yeah, I'm gonna say bad or cheap, but it's not the D-pad I mostly really like. But when you're thinking about getting one of these things, of course, a D-pad, in my opinion, is very important. So first of all, for fighting games, I think it's going to be very responsive. But one of the games I wanted to check out is Crash Bandicoot. Okay, another thing I wanted to check out is the D-pad. When I feel it, it feels kind of weird and clickish, to be honest. But when actually playing the game, it is very responsive. And particularly when you're going to play, let's say, a fighting game or something else, it needs to be very accurate and very comfortable to play. And I can tell you, I've been playing Crash with the D-pad for some time, and even still prefer it over the freaking analog stick. So when it comes to the D-pad, it's a situation, are you going to hate it or are you going to be loving it? So when it comes to the two speakers at the bottom, I must say that the stereo is quite well, very nicely, but when it comes to the overall quality, I have heard myself better speakers. The sound effects, everything are just very clear and sound amazing to the two speakers. But the overall audio, when you're listening to different, let's say, Neo products, I have heard way better ones. So when the device itself has been booted up, what you're going to get is the Neo space, the product, or more like a front end, where you can adjust everything when it comes to the hardware itself. Here you can tweak and do all kinds of things. You can also log in, make an account, and you can do a lot of stuff over here. Especially when it comes to the performance, here we're going to get a lot of stuff. We can adjust it when it comes to the TDP and all the other stuff. I'm now on the desktop, but when you're actually in a game, you can change out the DDP if you want to. For example, over here we're having normal game, where it automatically adjusts the backlight of the LCD. We also have a retro game where it basically lowers all the way the TDP to 2 watts or 5 watts, what you really want to have. You can also adjust it automatically, what you can see over here at the bottom. But the thing is, you can just mess around with it as you're playing a certain game. You can use Steam Big Picture mode, also works very well, or get yourself a launcher like Launchbox. But here we're going to the installed games. The games are installed through Steam, you can just add them through this way. The Aya Neo Air 1S comes with 1TB storage, 32GB of RAM. Take consideration depending what kind of configuration you're buying. There are different options out there. 5.5-inch OLED display with the AMD Ryzen 7840U, has the Zen 4 chipset with RDNA 3, 8 cores, 16 threads, with a max of 5.1 GHz max frequency, FSR and RSR super resolution. So this thing comes with a lot of cool specifications. But how does it result with gaming and emulation? Well, we just wanted to start off with some Crash Bandicoot, the Trilogy. So I've been setting everything to 1080p. And of course the low settings. Unfortunately, I didn't have the option to set it all the way up to the full HD in combination with high graphics. But at this point we do have a nice, say, frame rate. But take consideration, we can also mess around with it. I only have it set it to TDP 11. We can just crank it all up to 70 if you want to. And from this point on, we're going to get so much better performance, all the way up to 50 FPS. So you can mess around with the different resolutions if you want to, but it's of course your choice. So when it comes to Grand Theft Auto 5, I just wanted to check out how this older game runs, and to my surprise it runs on 1080p, and even with a mix of medium-high settings, the overall performance of GTA 5 was surprisingly quite good, and with this newer chipset it's absolutely amazing. But take consideration, we need to set it to 18DDP or even 20 if you want to. It's going to be draining your battery like crazy, and also the device going to be quite, let's say, hot when it comes to the display and everything. With Dead or Alive 6, we're going to get ourselves a 1080p resolution, set it all to low, and we didn't have the best performance when it comes to this particular game. I did notice with the best FPS, I just need to lower the resolution. But I just want to check out how the overall gameplay experience is now. But if you want to play some basic indie games, the best thing, of course, what we just can do is get into a game and set the TDP all the way back to 5, because we don't need a lot of power on this game. I think it's pretty damn cool, so it will give us an amazing lifespan when it comes to the battery itself. But let's take a closer look at when it comes to emulation performance. I think especially when you're looking at these Windows-based devices, we have so much more to play. We basically have a PlayStation 3 emulator on the go. Where this particular game is not maybe the most demanding game to play, it's still pretty damn cool to see that it actually runs very well. But let's get into the capture card and let's do a quick overview when it comes to particular games, and I will show you how good and how bad the emulation performance is.
Come on then! Come on.
Here we go.
Round 1. Fight.
With God of War I tried to put on 10 times resolution and we did manage to play it, but with 10 times resolution I did notice a lot of FPS dips in some parts of the game, so in my opinion 8 times is a better and safe way to play and get a stable 60 FPS overall.
I must return fire!
But unfortunate when it comes to emulation of the Xbox 360 on this device, it is unable to render it. Yeah, it is able to render it with maybe 6 up to 10 frames per second. So in other words, it's completely unplayable. Then of course we're going to get ourselves F-Zero GX for the GameCube, a very demanding and nasty game to emulate. 1080p, I did notice some hiccups here and there, so I think on this device with the 18 TDP we're running from the battery, we should get it, I think, to in 720p to for a stable 60 FPS. But just want to showcase what happens when you're going to put this on 1080. The device itself comes with some positive, very positive, but also very negative parts. The positive thing is that it is very comfortable and very compact. You can bring all of your Steam games with you, and with the new AMD 7000 series we have a lot of power, so also AAA games will run just fine, and also a lot of emulation. The negative side is, if you're going to crank it up to 18, 20 dB, oh boy, you can cook an egg on the display. It's getting really hot. The warning was out there in the piece of paper, and they're absolutely right. And that's due to the form factor, the power, and yeah, in my opinion, it's a little bit bummer, and not even to start about the freaking battery life. Thank you all for watching, consider subscribing, let me know what you think of this, and it will be great to see you in the next video.